what transpired was crazy.
There's an active police investigation, have a missing deflection testing machine, a $60,000 machine.
I had a source tell me, hey, doesn't seem to be testing in Phoenix. So I was like, there's no way we're not testing for deflection. They're like, I'm telling you, they're not testing for deflection. They don't know where the machine is. Sometime between being loaded in the moving truck from Austin to Phoenix and a police report was filed, it's being investigated. What type of world do we live in right now, Zane?
Yeah, if anybody finds that one on Craigslist, notify your local authorities. I think whoever finds it should get $10K. Come on, UPA, put out a cash bounty. I mean,
that would be so
that's
funny.
One way to, that would be kind of great. And it makes sense if they can get the device back for 10K as opposed to 60. All right. So last week I told you guys about superpower and how we're actually going to follow along with my superpower journey a little bit here. But superpower is basically a personalized sort of health concierge. Last week, I did my blood test and I got my results back from Superpower, and they're going to be reaching out to me with a coach basically to tell me what my blood is saying. Now, I really, really, really hate needles, but there were some really interesting things in there that I'd really like to, talk to my new Superpower coach again. So Superpower runs over 100 lab tests on everything in your blood, including gut health. They give a personalized game plan, and they have an AI chat so you can dig into the data on your own without a medical degree as well. Like I said, I've got my results coming. Thomas's are on the way. And if you want to see what's really going on inside your own body and get a good knowledge of that, you can head over to superpower.com/start/the dink or hit the link in the description. Yeah. I'm not gonna lie, all right, well, Erik, we had a kind of surprising amount of storylines coming out of Major League Pickleball and just other announcements this week. I was writing my recap and I was like, wow, for so few matches, a lot happened. We had the QD fine and suspension. We had obviously all of the implications of this weekend's MLP event. We've got some MLP trades. We had the Chaifetz press conference and acquisitions, and Georgia and Tyra losing their first match, a bunch more. This actually turned into like a pretty heavy news week for pickleball. So we'll get to all of that. But T-Dog, how was doing some commentary at the MLP over in Mesa this weekend?
It was a lot of fun. Wasn't really, so I offered to do some commentary, figured it would definitely only be some grandstand stuff. I did some grandstand commentary in Austin, and then I showed up Thursday afternoon, and Liv was like, hey, yeah, Dave asked for you on championship court Saturday night, 8:30. And I was like, are you sure? Maybe there's some sort of different name or something
Yeah, is there
going
a
on?
different Erik Tice that they could have been talking about?
Yeah. But no, honestly, it was so fun. I got to commentate 2 matches on grandstand court on Friday. And then Saturday night, I got to commentate with Dave, Dallas Flash versus Phoenix Flames. And then early Sunday morning, I also got to commentate with Dave, Mad Drops versus Flash. So overall, it was fun. New respect for, I've always respected the commentators, to be fair. I know that their job is harder, but having done it now for 2, it is so difficult. You have a producer talking in your ear. Hey, we're going to break in 5. While you're also talking, you can't keep stuttering. Did that a bunch. Overall, though, it was a lot of fun. And Dave is like incredibly generous and nice. Like, I asked him for feedback after. He gave me really good feedback that I was able to implement right away on Sunday morning. And he just he kept the energy and was like, don't worry about it. Like, we're going to be great. And we were fist pumping and I don't know. It was just an awesome experience.
Nice, dude. Are you gonna do more of that? You think?
If they want me to, for sure. Yeah, I like it. It is very difficult to get in that mindset of providing the color commentary. I think it's a little bit easier for me now that I've done probably 10 matches. It's probably a little bit easier for me to do play-by-play, and the color commentary will probably come a little bit later. But overall, it's either way, it's fun.
Yeah, I feel like you should be like a correspondent for any match going on. Not necessarily even like a commentator, but something interesting goes. You're the stats guy. I mean, that's kind of what you're the stats guy and the journalist. And I feel like you should be bouncing around for 2 minutes on every stream, right? Like with insights, like they do for in the NFL or MLB or or other sports just come in with like a little bit of analysis or whatever. I don't know. I feel like that'd be a really good thing for them to implement as well, with your unique ability to regurgitate random pickleball facts.
Yeah. Also, one thing that helped me a ton was Ben at Real Clear Stats was feeding me live stats. Like I had their
Mm,
dashboard, and like they were never more than 2 minutes behind, and so that was
that's
very
impressive.
easy. I know. I don't know how they do. Yeah, they have patented technology to like be able to do the scoring and stuff. That was super helpful because I could just like we would come back from a quick break, and Dave would be like, "Do you have a stat?" And I was like, "Yep, sure do," and would be able to kind of give a simplistic version of a stat that maybe Real Clear Stats had.
Yeah. All right. So first thing that we had was, I'm a little bit unclear on what exactly happened, and you were one of the first people to point out that QD Wang Yun, which we've confirmed, he has been. So this is what drives me crazy. All right, Eric, chill. All right, chill for a second. He calls himself Quang Duong sometimes. We all understand that that's what his like Americanized name is or whatever. We know that's not how he really says it, but it's really pronounced Wang Yun. What are we supposed to do? How am I supposed to call him something that he doesn't call himself? But anyway, his real name is pronounced Wang Yun. We're gonna call him Wang Yun. He got suspended and fined.
He
It
did.
was originally reported that it was going to be for one MLP event and one PPA event, and that was picked up by pickleball.com. And any other sources to your knowledge that picked up on that?
Yeah, I had so I broke it as well on X. I saw that very quickly. Um yeah, so let's go over what this fine and suspension was. First of all, let's talk about the incident. Last week, while MLP Austin was happening, Wang Yu flew to Vietnam and played in a tournament with Bao. And they were playing in an unsanctioned UPA tournament. Now, couple things on that. First and foremost, the UPA does
This is according to UPA.
correct.
Okay.
The UPA does allow players to play in other tournaments. Like it is like there's a kind of a give and take there. Obviously, the UPA is invested in the players, right? Like they are paying their contracts and they invest a lot in the players. At the same time, they need to be able to protect the assets that they have, which is the players. And so this is a very common thing in throughout sports, and actually the contracts specifically don't say anything to my knowledge. Zane, you could maybe correct me because you've signed a contract. I've only seen one. But in UPA contracts, it's not like Major League Baseball is historically known for this, where they like, hey, you can't go skateboarding, you can't do kayaking, you can't do windsurfing, you can't do all of these, you can't do jumping off of cliffs and things like this. You can't do those things. They're explicitly put in an MLB contract. I don't think the UPA has that written in their contracts for the most part. Is that accurate, or do you have anything different there?
Not regarding other activities like that, but from what I understand, it is pretty serious around exclusivity on tournaments, and you can get written approval. But historically, participating in other tournaments is a no go. And, somebody on Twitter mentioned that there was a message that went out restricting us from even playing from money balls after the QD situation. So it has always been quite clear regarding tournaments, and obviously the question on the Wang Yun situation is: was it a tournament? Was it an exhibition? What constitutes tournament exhibition? And what exactly is in his contract? But it's been clear about tournaments to anybody and everybody. That's like their number one deal.
Right. And so just to be clear, like I want to follow up on that. The Phoenix Flames, along with Quang Duong, flew to Vietnam like 3-4 weeks ago and did an exhibition tour, right? A, to get their team practice. B, maybe it was more than a month ago because I think it was right before MLP
Yeah, I feel
Orlando. It
like it
was like,
was in
yeah,
March, end of
yeah,
March or something.
yeah. So it was a little while ago, but either way, Quang was on that. Also, all of the Phoenix Flames were there. So they they have to know what the process is to get approval on these types of things.
But they
And that
don't.
was
That's a UPA sanctioned deal, right? That's the Arizona or the Phoenix Flames. They can probably do whatever the hell they want, and it wasn't a tournament; it was an exhibition that's sanctioned
yeah.
by their team. So I think that's a very very different thing, doing something sanctioned by your team than doing something on your own.
Yeah, I'm sure Phoenix. Yeah, you're probably right. Phoenix probably went through the process of getting whatever they were doing approved, and maybe Wang Yung was just along for the ride. But either way, I mean, you know, I mean, every player knows about the exclusivity with tournaments. I did hear that tournament that they played in Vietnam did have a cash prize. They did not make it that far, but I do think that had a cash prize. So, with all of that being said, the fine and suspension. Wang Yung was fined $50,000, suspended one PPA tournament, which is going to be the upcoming Select Medical Orange County Cup. Got the sponsor in there for you, PPA. Thank you. And
Nice.
and originally it was said to be one MLP event, which would have been MLP Phoenix. That
So
was
Eric,
six.
who
Yep.
says who though? Like that's where does this come from? Is it just your correspondence with the league, or because I never saw something from the league? Actually, I saw stuff from you. I saw stuff from pickleball.com, which obviously has gotten information from the league, but I never saw it publicly that it was one event from the league.
Agreed. It seems like the league is going away from announcing things like this and just giving the information to the media to announce for them. I don't understand the strategy. I mean,
Right.
obviously things get leaked quickly in Major League Pickleball. Usually, for the most part, not every single time, but most times when there's breaking news, I already know it or I've heard rumor of it. Um, so it's a little bit weird. Like, you know, the league announced the Andre suspension and fine, but this was more pickleball.com and us breaking it rather than the league announcing. Like, if you go to the league news articles, that it's non-existent. That story doesn't exist there.
Yeah. So it was initially said to you and other media sources that it was one event. It was walked back to 4 matches of their 6 in Phoenix. And then he still
Yep.
has the PPA event that he's out for. You think this is reasonable? Like fine and suspension?
Yeah, I do. I do think a precedent needs to be set. Like, you can't just go play in random tournaments or events without getting proper approval. I think that is an important thing to have happening. It seems little excessive to me, especially on the fine front, because I think this is the same fine that Andre got. And basically,
Yeah.
this is a very similar suspension. Andre got a little bit more of a suspension. He was
Andre got 60
60
days,
days.
but there were like not that many events during that time. So it's
Right.
a
It was
pretty
like,
similar suspension,
yeah,
it seems
it
like.
was like 4 events ish. And
Yeah,
so,
but I think his MLP team like also wasn't playing a couple of them too,
right.
right? I feel like it
It was
evened
more
out to
PPA.
about the same.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. To me, that's the part that doesn't add up. Like, I feel like there had to have been some history there. Like, we know that Wang Yun has been back and forth to Vietnam a million times. Like, why wouldn't he be? He's a legend there. Like, every time he's on one of those trips, I see him. And now we got to figure out how to say Bao's name correct. Somebody tell me. I'm sure you guys will. Somebody tell me how to say Bao's name correctly. Until then, I'm going to call him fucking Bao, all right? But him and Bao and Duke have been back and forth a million times playing in front of huge sold out like
Yeah.
crowds. Who knows what they're actually like doing, whether it's tournaments or exhibitions or whatever you want to call it. Like, I just can't imagine out of nowhere there's a 50K fine. That's a big message to send there instead of like, I feel like there had to have been a warning. And then,
Oh, for
my
sure.
also hot take is that I think that they got a warning and they don't give a shit because they are so much more valuable in Vietnam. I'm sure they made more than 50K doing whatever it is they're doing. And they have SIPC, they have Wika. Who knows? It could be a contract requirement with SIPC or Wika to do some of these events and they'll cover any fines. Like, I think if you look at it from just a business decision, I think it's not a bad business decision. They'll get the reputation of not necessarily honoring contracts like they have with allegedly with Selkirk, got in trouble for. But business decision, if you're looking to maximize bottom line, I have to imagine they came out on top of this. And I do think that the PPA is slightly afraid of this, right? Where, you know, he is such a celebrity in the third largest pickleball market in the world. If they lose control of Wang Yun and he goes and partners up with some other tournament company, they could lose that third biggest market in the world, right? I think if Wang walks and partners up with a Vietnamese tour, they lose Vietnam, the UPA. And
Yeah, I don't know
PPA
how
Asia
he
is
would.
an enormous like initiative of the PPA.
Right. Yeah, I don't know how he would be able to walk from his current contract.
Sure. I'm sure there'd be serious lawsuits, but of
Right.
course.
But yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. It very easily could be. Did you watch that documentary on Michael Jordan about how basically like, oh, we'll make this shoe for you and we'll just pay all the fines because it doesn't meet the NBA requirements? A very similar type of thing, like from Saipic. It could very well be. I'm not reporting that. I think you're probably right. Like, okay, we'll deal with the consequences, and if we have to pay some fine, then we'll pay it for you. No big deal. Type
You
of
heard
thing.
it here first. Wang Yun, the Michael Jordan of Vietnam pickleball.
Sweet. Thanks, Zane. Appreciate that.
Nah, I mean, it's probably accurate. All right. So, in other news, he's also developing his own ball. We had a clip of him playing with his own ball. They're doing it big. That's for sure.
I mean, nobody seems to be getting into the ball game now. It seems like it's like you need to have a really high number in order to really make anything work, in terms of like you need to produce like tens of thousands of balls. Otherwise, the margins are so slim, no one seems to be getting into it. Now, with
Well, you
his
need to
presence in
produce.
Asia,
Yeah.
like maybe they don't have tariffs and all of those things. You just produce it and you get it out in Vietnam there. I think he could make some headway there.
Yeah, I mean, like the ball is not even necessarily about what the best ball is. It's who's going to pay the most marketing dollars. And so your cost of a ball is maybe 10 cents a piece when you make them at scale, but the real cost is getting people to use your ball, right?
Right.
Yeah. So anyway, instead of Wang Yun, they had Spencer Smith sub in instead of Wes Burrows, who was the LA Mad Drops sub. You get any information on why they used Spencer instead of their own sub, Wes, starting every game down 1-0 as a result of that?
I don't have any like insider information, but my little spidey senses are telling me that they think Spencer was probably a better option than Wes, even starting down 1-0 in all of Spencer's games. I think Wes is a
Interesting.
great third pick for an LA based team to
Yeah.
activate with the local community. He's like great with people. He's great like clinics
Oh,
and
he's a legend, and he's in LA.
yeah, for sure. Like all of those things are great. The on-court abilities currently, like I don't think he's there. And so I think they were just like, you know what? I'd rather have Spencer and we'll start 1-0 with all the games he's in. And to be fair, I thought he played fine. Like
Yeah, I thought he did a pretty decent job. They won a couple matches without Wang Yun.
right. Yeah. And they won a
Um,
dream breaker starting down 1-0 too. Like that's pretty
mhm.
cool.
Yeah, for sure. I still think I think that there should be more of a penalty. I think it should be one you start the match 1-0-1 serving. Not just the score is 0-1 start. I think you should get two serves to begin with. It's only a little bit more, but it is a decent enough penalty. I don't think 1 point is enough because we continue to see people using it, right? We have to figure out what the line of penalty is where people like are actually think and weigh that again.
Yeah, on the other side of that though, we did see a bunch of subs in MLP
Yeah.
Phoenix for the first time. We saw Jalina Ingram come in for Irina for a match. Riley's injury looked pretty gruesome. I'm hoping he's okay.
Yeah, what
But
actually happened to Riley? I didn't see it.
so they were in the second to last match of their tournament. It was Sunday morning. I forget who they were playing. Unfortunately, it may have been the Mad Drops. I don't remember. Sorry, but they were in the middle of their first mixed doubles, and Riley just came across to hit a winning Burt. And as he landed, he grimaced, and from sources I heard, he said he heard a pop in his groin, which is just, the groin is just like one of the worst injuries you can have in terms of soft tissue injuries in sports, because it's just nagging. Like, you have to use it almost every single time you move laterally at all. So that could be like a hopefully 2 to 3 week thing, but it could be like, I mean, I've seen groin injuries go 3 to 4 months. And quick stat on Riley and the Brooklyn team, their schedule is so middle loaded. I know I'm getting off topic here, I apologize, but their schedule is so middle loaded that their entire regular season is actually done in 48 days from now. So that's going to be a decision that they have to, like, is Riley going to be able to come back? Because then they're going to have like 2 months or a month and a half before the playoffs. So it's like, is Riley going to be able to come back, or do we put him in IR and try to steal somebody or try to trade for somebody? That's a decision Brooklyn's going to have to be making.
Yeah, they're also not really threatening for a top 2 spot. Like, and
Right.
they'll be safely in the playoffs,
Yeah.
regardless. So it seems
Maybe
like
they just ride it out and hope to
Yeah.
make the playoffs, and then hope to get Riley back. Yeah, that could be too.
Yeah. So as you mentioned quickly, we had Jalina Ingram get her debut, the 17-year-old playing for the Hard Eights, which I feel like in any other sport, you've got a 17-year-old out there winning matches. They beat Augie and Tyra, which is an
Yep.
unbelievable win, her and Blaine Hovenier.
Yeah.
It feels like it's not that big of a story. And it made me wonder, are we spoiled because we've had Leigh Waters, George Johnson, Gabe Tardio, Hayden Patriquin? Like, is this a story or a not story?
I think in any other sport, this would be a huge story like you're talking about, but I do think we are spoiled. Like, we have, I mean, they've been putting up a graphic either on PPA or MLP matches sometimes of like the top teenagers, right? And it's like 6 or 7 teenagers that are either 18 or 19, and it's just like, oh, they're all also top 10 players in the world right now. This is I think it's kind of glossed out. Like, Leigh has 151 gold medals on the PPA tour and 34 triple crowns. Like, and it just, like, when she gets another one, it's just like, oh, okay, Leigh did great that weekend. Like, good job. Like, we are 100% spoiled, and it's a crazy situation that we're in, that like Jalina coming in and getting a mixed win over Augie and Tyra with Blaine is like barely a blip on the radar right
It's like,
now.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
To be fair, I feel like 3-0 matches, you might as well just flip a coin at that point too, right? Like, nobody's into a 3-0 match. They came in and they played, not to diminish it. It's a good win one way or another. You see a
Right.
lot of weird results at 3-0.
Yep.
I almost wonder, and I think I've said this before, you look at professional gaming, and most pro gamers are somewhere between like 16 and 24, and then the reaction time just goes, right? I
Yeah.
think pickleball will be more like pro gaming than it will be tennis, actually. Like, reaction time is so much more important than even like peak physicality.
Right.
So I don't know. I think there's a reason why we see young players break through so quickly and do so well. But another storyline, switching gears slightly. Distraction call on
Oh yeah.
Tyson. Basically had a crazy point, loses the point or wins the point, but celebrates a little premature celebration. And he gets Todd says something or another, and I'm sure the referee was probably going to call it anyway, but he loses the point. What type of garbage is that?
I'm gonna have a much different take than you, and you're probably gonna
Love it.
lambast me, which is completely fine.
Perfect. I like
I
an
think
argument.
I think players need to be smarter and understand the rules better, right? So there's two things that go into this for me. I'm gonna quickly go back to the Christian Alshon and Eric Onsen's thing where they couldn't like challenge their in ruling, and Eric made the like flat hand look at Christian. Don't do that. Players, do not do that. That tells the ref that you are calling the ball in. Ask your partner if you thought the ball was in or not. Don't make a hand signal. Secondly, Tyson, just wait an extra half a second till the ball bounces twice, and then you can do your exciting scream. Like, I just think players need to be a little bit more cognizant of the rules. Then you don't have to worry about anything like that.
Yeah, well, I understand it. Like, we should all understand the rules. The problem with the hinder distraction rule is it's enforced so differently all of the time. I've been
Yeah.
on the court. I was playing against Etienne. I got a ball back that he thought was a winner. He hits the shot, he yells, yeah. And I get the ball back. We play on and we lose the point. And I turned to the referee, and I actually said this was probably over a year ago. I said, I don't actually want this point, but that's a distraction. Like, and he's like, nope, that's a normal pickleball noise. I'm like, okay, is it normal pickleball noise? Is it partner communication? I am like up to date on the rules as any player is.
Yeah.
You know this.
Yeah.
Like, I read every instance of rule changes. I have no idea what the rule or I know what the rules are. I don't know how they're interpreted by referees. We just need to make a hard line. Like, are we allowing distractions or not? And in my opinion, I think you should be allowed to say whatever the hell you want, whenever the hell you want during the point, with the exception of two things. You cannot say stop or let, and you cannot make a bogus out call. You say out or you say stop or let. The point is that's like communication to the referee. Other than that, I think you should be able to yell. I think you should be able to distract. I think you should be able to do whatever you want to. I just think about it like in basketball. And this is the analogy that I made on Loong's tweet. Imagine somebody getting an extra free throw because they got distracted in basketball. Like,
Right.
it's ridiculous. You want rowdy crowds, you're gonna have some instances of that.
Right. And just to add to that, I think we've talked ad nauseum about the serve rules and how they're very subjective and all of that. This distraction call is super subjective from referee to referee. It has to do with like the loudness of the call. Is the call, like you're talking about, is the call partner communication or not partner communication? Did it distract the opponent? Like, there's so many things that go into this, and this referee has to determine this within, like, I don't know, 2.5 seconds. And you and I both can agree 100% we want less subjective rules in pickleball. So I don't care what the rule becomes. I would like it to be a little bit less subjective so the referees have an easier job there.
Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah, shout out to Loong. Me and Loong agreed on something for once. I'm kind of an asshole. I said in my little recap thing, I was like, even though I agreed with him, like, even a broken clock's right twice a day.
Yeah, for sure.
Got to keep the beef going.
Yeah.
But let's see, what else did we have? A lot of weird challenge results. Another one, I feel like they get these calls and then they go in the back room, or whoever's in the truck just flips a coin and they're like, all right, heads it's in, tails it's out. Like, these are so strange to me. I mean, I'm looking at these, and first off, I don't think that the little nickel thing or whatever on the ball, that makes no sense, because a ball that's coming down at an angle is going to compress more than a ball that is hit on a flat trajectory. The little nickel on the bottom of the ball should only be used when you can't actually see where the ball bounced, right? Why are we using the nickel when you can actually see, okay, here's a video of where it bounced? Like, that's mind-blowing to me. If you can see it's out, it's out. Like, what the actual, like, I feel like I'm taking crazy pills.
Yeah, so you're not taking crazy pills. Here's the deal.
Oh, I am taking crazy pills.
Okay, got it. But, well, either way, MLP and PPA need to get better cameras. That's the bottom line. Like, I know I like the added value of the little green dot, red dot, nickel thing that you're talking about. It is nice to have, but here's the problem. When you don't have cameras that can actually stop the ball when it's hitting the line, you get weird overturns on calls that you don't know, because listen, I was in the booth. I saw some of the replays. It's the same replay that you see as an
Right.
audience member. Like, the ball is like here, and then it bounces, and now we have this frame. Well, we didn't get this part where it like stopped, right? We need better cameras. If they get better cameras that can shoot 240 feet per second, we're gonna have no controversies. Now,
Free close call.
I mean, listen, we had close call last year. It was amazing for like 6 months, and then PPA said they were going to come up with like the same system, and we have the same system, except it's half the frame rate. So that's not the same system.
Yeah.
I don't know what to say.
Anyway,
Yeah.
it's just weird because even like looking at it, I'm looking at the same thing that it happened to us last week. I said
Yeah.
like I'm looking at this. I'm like, yes, I'm obviously biased, but like as an outball, we got overturned on, and there's a bunch of them that were missed this weekend that feel clear to me. But anyway, weird stuff. And then you had the Catherine one, which we had some great memes about. Like Catherine calls a ball out that looks out, and they show the wrong replay. That's the only way like they showed an overruled turn of a ball that was in by 6 inches, and I don't know whether they actually deliberated on that in the replay booth or whatever, but that's wild. Like you should be able to see that this is not even the same ball that we're talking about.
Right. Yeah. Usually now that part it can be different from like in the booth.
What you
They can
see
see the
in the
stuff,
booth.
and then
Yeah,
what
yeah.
they're showing, they can definitely see different looks, especially on championship court. So I wouldn't be surprised if they actually looked at the real shot in the replay booth, but showing it on TV to the general audience with the wrong ball is not a great
Right.
look.
I would hate that for like if that's me and I'm getting called out as just like an egregious cheater, somebody who missed a call by 2 feet. I'm gonna be pissed. I'm gonna be like, that didn't
Yeah,
happen.
for sure.
That wasn't me.
Right.
But
Yeah.
anyway, moving back through it, on Sunday we had QD returned,
Yep.
and you had a great tweet. This was the first time that the Mad Drops had their full strength roster in 385 days, 27 matches, and they started out hot. Tyra and Georgia lost to Catherine and Jade 11-3, and things are like, oh yes, the Mad Drops, they're back. They're going to be playing good ball. They're a title contender if they can have their women win that. And then they lost the next 3.
Yep.
So kind of a bummer, but again, they're in that like comfortable range of like they're gonna make the playoffs. And then yeah, so Maddie Pickles had a great tweet as well. It's wild how much of a distinction we have between the top 8 and the bottom 8 teams in Major League Pickleball. So Maddie Pickles compiled the records of all of them. The top 8 teams are 42-0 against the bottom 8 teams. Bottom 8 teams are 0-42 against the top 8 teams. It's like what we've been saying from the beginning. There's the haves and the have-nots this year. Like, I don't think that's good for MLP.
Yeah, I agree. That's a crazy stat. Like even in other
Crazy stat.
sports, there's like, there's the middling teams that are like, oh, well, they're like
Yeah,
kind of they could get a W over somebody here.
You'd think 9 or 10 might be able to take out 7 or 8 sometime, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I do think it'll happen. Honestly,
Yeah.
I know that there's just no way this continues in this. There are some good teams that are in the, like, for example, I don't want to get too much into this, but Carolina could be good at any point if Ben
Yeah,
and Colin try,
exactly.
and they're in 16th place. So like
Mhm.
they could easily take out the 6, 7, 8 team, and Miami could get hot for sure. Like there's
Mhm.
teams in there that could win, but it's just craziness.
Yeah, I agree. So, taking a look through the actual standings now, the Phoenix Flames kind of flamed out. I thought that they were going to be a playoff contender, at least. On paper, they look decent enough, but they're kind of cooked for playoffs.
Yeah, so my not super hot, my lukewarm hot take is I'm officially declaring the Flames out of playoff contention because I'm using, and Maddie posted a similar video about this today, but I'm using 27 points for standings points as my barometer for whether or not you're going to make the playoffs. That's 1.08 points per match, and that's right where the 10th place team is currently. So I'm just extrapolating that over the season. That means that the Flames would need to get 1.64 points per match, and they're averaging 0.63. I just don't see it happening. Now, the Flames are super fun to watch. I don't know if you watched any of the matches. Like,
They were
for a
too late
team,
for me.
okay, yeah, for sure
They
they
were
were.
past my
You're right.
bedtime.
Listen, I have never seen a team in MLP have so much fun and have like the greatest vibes while just losing almost every single match that they're playing. Like, at least it's good for the league, for Jack and Tyson and Jesse and Jeannie to like be having a good time and like entertaining. And you're right. I expected them to be a lot better than they are currently.
Yeah, I think I probably had them in that like 9 through 10 conversation early on. I would have put them ahead of the Black Diamonds, probably would have put them ahead of Miami, and then Chicago. They were probably right around there with Chicago. I definitely would have put them over Atlanta, New York, SoCal. Probably not ahead of potentially even, yeah, probably potentially even above the Hogs. So
Right.
disappointing, but that stat line from Maddie Pickles is wild. And so I wonder as well, like, we're in the thick of regular season. Are these blowout matches or these matches that just like you don't even need to watch because you know what's going to happen? That's that's not good for MLP. I wonder if it feel like that regular season type of deal when there are so many blowouts leads to MLP losing some luster.
Yeah, I think when you get into the middle of any season, it's going to feel like that no matter what sport it is. So I do think there are enough moving forward, cuz Phoenix was really like, you had the Flash and Brooklyn, and like LA was kind of in there, right? Like, they did well, but then you had three not great teams. I think moving forward, looking at the schedule, I can see good matchups happening at every single one of these next stops.
Mhm.
So I think as long as, and I do like, again, we've talked about this, but I want to go back to it. I do like that Samin and the operations team are kind of flexing games into better matchups into like the Saturday night and Sunday night pickleball. I
Right.
loved the nighttime thing in Phoenix. I'd like to see the nighttime thing on the East Coast more, right? Like,
Right.
again, we're in Daytona next week, and these nighttime pickleball is at 4:30. Like, what? I don't. Why are we calling it nighttime pickleball? Like, just make sure that they have good lights, and let's do an actual nighttime. Because I mean, we had in Phoenix, we had a celebrity pro-am that was amazing. AQ Shipley was there. The guitarist from Maroon 5 was really good. You should watch that. I mean, he's like
I
5-0
saw a couple
probably.
highlight
I
points. Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
Jesse just stood off to the sideline, and he is really good. But like, the energy was there. Like, it was 8:30 to like 9:30, and it was packed. Like,
Mhm.
so all that to say, yes, I think a little luster is being lost when we have, next week we're gonna have SoCal versus the New York Hustlers. I probably won't watch that. But every season is like that. It doesn't really matter the sport.
Sure, sure. Anybody who's playing the Colorado Rockies in Major League Baseball right now is like that too. But taking a quick look at standings, Shocks still stay in number one. Would you rather
Yep.
be the Shocks position where you are slightly ahead in points per match at 2.88 above the Flash? Both the Shock and the Flash are undefeated. Shock are 8-0. The Flash are 14-0. Shock with one Dreambreaker win, Flash with two. Who are you picking? Whose spot are you in?
You have converted me into this fully. I'd much rather be the Flash, right? They have 14 matches down. We already know what we have. If you're the Shock, you kind of you're chasing after the 3 points per match all the time, which is a little bit of a burden. Now, I'm not saying they can't handle it, because I think they do handle having the pressure on them and having the target on their back very well. But I'd rather have the 2.85 or whatever points per match with 14 matches rather than 8. That's me. What
Yeah.
about you? You still sticking with that?
Yeah, I think I like the idea of controlling your own destiny, but like the Flash have controlled their own destiny pretty well. 2.86 points per match. I forgot what we ended up as the 1 seed last year. I think we were slightly over 2.5 points per match. So these guys
Right.
are setting a really strong pace there. A pace that we didn't
Uh,
see last year.
Real quick on that. The one and I know it sounds silly. The 1 and 2 get a bye, but both of those teams really want the 1 seed. very badly because they do not want to face you guys, right? Like,
Right.
if you guys end up with, now I'm not like, there's a lot of pickle to be played here, but the odds are right now they are the 1 and 2 seeds and you guys are the by far the 3 seed. Nobody wants to play you guys in a playoff. So whoever gets the 1 seed gets to pick who they get to play. And I think both of them are really gunning for that 1 seed.
Yeah, for sure. Well, we're still gunning for that 1 seed.
Yeah, you are. Yep.
We've got Brooklyn leapfrogged the Ranchers and the Squeeze to come into 4th in points per match. Other than that, the Mad Drops are in a decent spot, and the Utah Black Diamonds are in playoff contention, something that we thought would never happen last year with that draft that they had. But they're playing good ball. They're in 9th place, right behind the Mad Drops in terms of points per match.
So they jumped 6 spots. I mean, that's like, that was the biggest jump from pretty much any event after Orlando.
Yeah, and to be fair, they'd only played 3 games or 3 matches before. I think they had 6 matches here, so they scored some points and were able to make their points per match jump pretty significantly. All right, so the last thing in MLP, we have a Viv for Viv 1-for-1 trade. The Chicago Slice have traded away Vivian David for Viv Glosman. To me, that feels like just 2 teams look on the outside looking in that both felt like they needed a change. Who do you think wins that trade?
I don't think either team wins. I think that it's probably even. Having watched Viv Glosman this past weekend, definitely needed a change of scenery. She got pickled twice. Did not look to be super into it. So I think she needed a change of scenery. And Chicago has been, I would say, a little bit underperforming expectations, not a ton. But at the same time, I don't think their women were doing super well. So I think overall, I think this is a good trade for both teams, get some new energy. Viv David is known as a very positive energy player and could give Atlanta a little bit of pop there. And then Viv Glosman's ceiling is pretty much as high as anybody else's on tour in terms of women. So I like the switch. I like the trade. I hadn't seen it, so you broke it to me. But overall, I think it's probably a win for both.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, I think they both just needed a quick change. Yeah. Other news. Did you see the Chaifetz group press conference at all?
I did not see a press conference. I saw something, but I thought it was, go ahead. Tell me what happened.
Yeah. So they held a press conference at Chaifetz Arena. So they basically, him, Andrew Hines, that whole group, Zach from Inside Out Sports that runs Major League Pickleball operations, they had this press conference at their arena. And Ross made some crazy claims that this is going to be the best pickleball event ever. They have Marathon as the sponsor for the title sponsor for their event, which is pretty cool. And there wasn't like a crazy amount of information given other than like, this is going to be the best. This is going to be the best. This is going to be the best ever. I hope so. I wish there was a little bit more for us to go on from that, but I think it's cool that they held a press conference ahead of time. Like, that's something kind of new, right?
Right, for sure. I also, maybe I saw the same thing, but I didn't realize it was a press conference. I saw like the Chaifetzes on a news blurb for like, I don't know, 10 minutes or something. And it was talking about the arena. And so it was interviewing Ross. I think it was probably the same type of thing. Listen, here's the deal. Like, we've had light issues, grandstand in Phoenix. That's why we changed the schedule a little bit. The lighting on grandstand was not good in Mesa. The shadows in the championship court were a nightmare. Before that, in Austin, we had those lights were good, but before that, we had the Columbus lighting issues, right? Like, if we can figure out a way to make indoor pickleball, in specifically MLP, look great inside of a smaller arena, I think that could be the thing moving forward. If St. Louis can pull this off as well as, even, I mean, like you said, the best ever. Like, there's a lot of marketing terms here saying like this is going to be the greatest. even if it's like 90% of what they're hoping for and it's like an amazing event, I do think this could be the way moving forward for MLP.
I hope so. I mean, I just really, really like the idea of stoking the competitive nature of these team owners and letting them have a little bit of a pissing contest.
For
Like,
sure.
my event's going to be better than yours. Oh, yeah. Well, my event is going to be bigger than yours. Show me your event. I like the pissing contest between them. I think, yeah, making them. I hope it is. I hope it is. I hope they're able to fill that thing up. I did point out one glaring omission. They can't have the best MLP event ever without the New Jersey Fives there, so they're already kind of set up to fail on that promise. But yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. And they also have the announcement that they acquired alongside Stack, and we're going to have George from the Picklr and Stack come on shortly here. They acquired Vulcan. So the Chaifetz group is now invested alongside Stack Athletics with Vulcan. So they're they clearly are very, very invested in this sport. They'd already put in a bunch of money into the Pickler, and I'm sure I'm missing some other investments that they've made, but they're all in.
Yeah, they are for sure all in. They're one of the franchises that are, I would, there's like 4 or 5 franchises that I would consider in an elite category in terms of overall operations, investment in the sport, investment in growth. And St. Louis is obviously one of them. They fly their players around in private jets all the time, which is crazy.
Yeah, that's wild. That's nice. Last thing before we get George on, did you see the Dinks article from Alex that we have a missing deflection testing machine, a $60,000 machine? There's an active police investigation. There was no deflection testing on site at MLP Phoenix this week. Apparently,
Right.
thoughts on that?
Yeah, so that's actually a tag team article Alex and I did together. What transpired was crazy. I had a source tell me, "Hey, doesn't seem to be testing in Phoenix." So this is Thursday, the day we start play in Phoenix. I was like, "There's no way we're not testing for deflection." They're like, "I'm telling you, they're not testing for deflection. They don't know where the machine is." And I was like, "No chance." And I told Alex is our director of digital content. He basically is in charge of all the content at the Dink. And I was like, I know he knows some people at PPL and within Major League Pickleball. So he reached out. All of a sudden, I get a phone call. Yeah. So, long story short, the deflection machine was stolen. Police report has been filed. And I was like, wait, stop. Like, I feel like this is a made up thing that you're just like I'm living in a fairy tale land here at this point, right? And I confirmed with MLP execs. Alex and I talked to MLP execs, PPL execs, UPAA execs. We got the down low from everybody. Basically, the machine, along with all of the tools, along with the computer, was stolen sometime between being loaded in the moving truck from Austin to Phoenix, and a police report was filed. It's being investigated. And as soon as we have more on that, we'll probably break it. But that's where it's at right now, and I just can't believe we're in a time. This is back-to-back weeks where I'm like, we had the OnlyFans pickleball thing, and now we have a stolen deflection test that's worth like $60,000 to $70,000. Like, what type of world do we live in right now, Zane?
Yeah, if anybody finds that one on Craigslist, notify your local authorities. Yeah, but I mean, I do think there's actually a positive out of this. So, like, I don't think I didn't hear complaints, nor did it really appear on stream that anybody was using any ridiculous or tampered with paddles, which leads me to the point that the deterrent, in my opinion, is far more important than the actual like pre event testing. And I think that Travis Rettenmeyer earlier in the year when he challenged Liz Truluck's paddle, I think that's a perfect example. Like, if you come out there with something too hot, you're going to get your paddle challenged. So you can't get away with it. You can't use an egregiously hot paddle just because deflection testing isn't there. We all know what our paddle does sound like and what it actually should sound like, right? We're all unbelievably aware of that. And so the fact that we didn't have too many paddle problems, I think, shows that like we should really just be deterred rather than even testing ahead of time potentially.
Yeah, I mean, I was on site every day, and I talked to a ton of players throughout the event. Like, Not one person was like, oh, so and so is playing with a hot paddle. Like that wasn't even a discussion, which leads me to believe that you're right. Like as long as like it's kind of self-controlled, like I think all of those players knew like, hey, if I have one that's close, I'm not going to play with that one. I'll play with a different one.
Right, because if I'm there and I hear somebody with a like a corked sounding paddle, I'm gonna be a million times more trigger happy on my challenges. I'm
For
challenging
sure.
this, I'm challenging that, I'm challenging all of it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel like I honestly, in a weird way, feel like not having the testing ahead of time could actually be a good thing, but also I think so. In my opinion, I think we should have the option to test ahead of time just for your
That's what I
own
was going to say.
knowledge.
Yep.
I think each player should have the option. It doesn't matter whether your thing got approved beforehand or not, because as you play with it, or if you manipulate it, you know that it's going to be different, and you have randomized testing after matches as well as the challenge system. And I think that the deterrent is far more important than the actual like preemptive testing. On the other hand, I think where we have the problem more so now is you can't find an amateur player at a PPA event. Like I think they need to do preemptive testing for the amateur events on deflection and texture and whatnot. That seems like it's more important actually there at this point.
Yeah, I agree. And UPAA along with PPL does agree. They are coming out with forget the name of it, but I talked to PPL leadership, and they have like a little handheld one that is very close to within like 2% accuracy on deflection as like their big machine that is still missing. By the way, MLP Daytona Beach will have the deflection testing back. They own or owned 3 deflection testing machines. One is always set for headquarters. One was on the road. That's currently missing. And the other one is en route to Daytona Beach. So there will be testing there. But back to the amateurs, they're working on something like that. I could see them easily implementing that in the second half of 2025 or 2026, where, because it's like a quick thing, like you can basically test it within 10 seconds.
Yeah.
And I think that would help the amateur game a ton. Cause I mean, you've been to PPAs where they have the amateurs there and like all of a sudden you're walking and you just hear like
Oh yeah, you hear a
shotgun,
gunshot.
shotgun,
It's like, oh my
shotgun. And
god,
it's like,
PTSD.
oh, I guess that's just a paddle at the 3-5 level. Cool. Got it.
Yeah, no, they need it much more there. Yeah, so I think they should. I think they need a cash bounty. Like if you can find this device and return it, I think whoever finds it should get 10K back from UPA.
If that helps, then whatever, right? Like I mean, you need the machine back.
Yeah. Come on, UPA, put out a cash bounty. I mean,
That would be so
that's one
funny.
way to. That would be kind of
Yeah.
great, and it makes sense if they can get the device back for 10K as opposed to 60. Like, yeah, I think it's got to be an inside job. Who else is going to know what this thing is? Who just goes and takes a random box?
But like, did you see the picture that we posted on our article? Like, it
I
looks
did.
like that black case just looks like it's wanting to be stolen. If you're
Mm,
like just like randomly looking through a moving truck, like that thing looks like, oh, that could be important. I have no idea what it is, but it could be important.
interesting. All right. Well, T Dog, thanks for coming on, chatting all things MLP Pickle. We are going to get George on real quick to talk about the Vulcan acquisition with Stack, talk about the Picklers expansion in Japan, as well as a unique pickleball clinic offering, and a bunch more from random topics from me and some Q&A. But T Dog, thanks for popping on. Appreciate you.
See you later.
Welcome. Have you ever been on the PicklePod before, George?
You know what? I never have because I haven't felt the love until today.
Wow.
Until today,
Okay.
Zane.
Well, George, you and the Pickler and Stack, you haven't done anything noteworthy yet.
Oh man. Honestly, that's how I felt. I'm like, maybe I'm not doing anything special enough, and that's why I'm not getting the invite. No, I'm
Well,
teasing.
George, you were one of the founders of the Pickler, and the really big news from over the last couple of days has been the expansion to 20 plus locations in Japan, and
Mhm.
then B, the Stack Athletics acquisition of Vulcan. So we'll let you start. Where do you want to start at?
I mean, we can start wherever, but I think both of them are equally exciting because I think it continues to grow the game of pickleball, and especially on the international side, which I personally have been very excited and bullish on it because I was one of the few people that traveled to Lima, Peru last year and participated in the World Cup of Pickleball. And I've been to some amazing pickleball events. That was by far my favorite event I've ever attended. And again, it was just from the aspect of the international side, like how cool it was to see different countries represented. And I think the Asia market is. I mean, a year ago, if you were talking to the Asian market, India, UK. I mean, you mentioned it was just like it was a hobby. It was something that people were doing for fun. But now it's the business opportunities and the growth is catching up. I think faster than we experienced early on, maybe 4 years ago in the United States, just because the infrastructure in the US is set in place and people have something to replicate. So Japan is it's exciting, especially I've never been to Tokyo, but I'm excited to go and see the Asian markets, especially. I think this is a great launch pad for the Asian markets, and I think that's why it was important for us to go somewhere like Tokyo first.
Interesting. So, like, I mean, I think of Tokyo, and that seems like an arbitrary place to start, right? And when I
Yeah,
look at in Asia, at least, you hear more hype around Vietnam and Malaysia at this point than necessarily Japan. So, can you give more color as to why Japan, and is it one group that took out this entire, franchise buy, or how does that work?
yeah. So it is one group, and I think it was the individual behind the movement. He actually, I tell people, I feel like he reminds me of a young Connor Pardoe and George Berrigan, a good mixture of the desires that are presented there. And what I mean that, I mean, I think so. Kenton is the CEO of Picklr Japan, and I think for us, we bought into what he was trying to do and the group behind it because that not only is he wanting to build the infrastructure of the Pickler there, but he's growing the infrastructure of pickleball in general.
Hmm.
And so
Sure.
you're 100% right. I think Vietnam is probably further ahead than where Japan is. You're starting to see more dedicated facilities. You're starting to see paddle brands concentrate in the Vietnam market. But I think from an infrastructure standpoint, Tokyo, specifically Tokyo is where we're going, right? I think Tokyo, that market is primed because there are a lot of tennis facilities right now. Racket sports is huge in Japan, and then the culture behind wellness and community is significant. And so then you got a guy like Kenton behind it, and the expertise of the Pickler. We believe that we can catch up because of the infrastructure that's in place as far as Tokyo and the innovation that happens there. And then you got a guy like Kenton that's going to lead the efforts there. I think the launch pad's going to be pretty significant.
Yeah, I've always kind of been somewhat surprised that Japan hasn't had the same sort of explosion as a Vietnam, and I think it's primed to do it. I mean, even
Yeah.
something as silly and arbitrary as the recent pickleball burger at Burger King's in Japan, I feel like it could be an
I'm actually
indicator that.
I'm very excited to try that, by the way. So
Yeah, you're gonna have to give a review. We'll get you on the
yeah,
pod for the second time after you review the pickleball
so
burger
that's
in
worthy of
Japan.
getting me on is trying a burger, but not
Yeah.
building the pickler. Like trying to
Well,
got
to be
it.
fair, we had also kind of changed things up, right? We've been doing more of these sort of like, hey, somebody's done something super interesting over the last couple of weeks. Let's chat with
Yeah,
them about it. And so I
that's cool.
just wanted to talk to you about Pickler Japan, of course,
Yeah,
and then the Vulcan acquisition. So that's an
yeah,
acquisition from Stack Athletics as well as the Chaifetz group. Can you tell us a little bit more about the Vulcan acquisition?
yeah. So I think the pickler. I think people don't know the infrastructure of Pickler Inc. And so Pickler Inc. owns
How dare
Pickler
they?
Pickler franchise. Look. I always tell people we want to be the underground kings of pickleball. We don't want to be we want to make change and we want to make significant change. But I think people are finally catching on to what we're trying to do for pickleball. And the facility is one aspect. We're very bullish on Major League Pickleball, and so we invested early on with the California Black Bears. Stack Athletics was I'm head to toe Stack right now. There's a new polo, stackathletics.com. Check it out. Um, but we saw an opportunity with Stack as there isn't anybody that we feel is representing pickleball from the athleisure side very well, and this brand has been developing over the last 2 years, and I think we're finally hitting the market at the right time, right place, and growing the brand correctly right now. And it's seen some extreme growth over the last 6 months. And so for us, it was like, look, we have an opportunity here. Vulcan Pickleball, we consider it a legacy brand, right? They've done a lot of great things in the past. I personally still think it's the best ball in pickleball. We love the ball. It's the official ball of the Pickler, and for us, we saw an opportunity early on to acquire it because of the ball, right? I can't really say from the paddle side that there's been innovation that has happened there for a very long time. And so for us, it was this like we see the ball as an opportunity, while also, we just spun off Stack. And so Stack is going to operate and exist on its own away from the Pickler moving forward. It'll have its own ownership group, its own operating team. And so this was a merger and acquisition that happened, right? Those two brands are merging together from the operation side, but existing completely separate still, right? Because we believe the expertise on Stack's side can give a little bit of a facelift to Vulcan, make it a little bit sexier. That legacy brand like a Hyundai or a Kia, like how do we make it cool and trustworthy again? And I think we have a chance to do that. From the ball side, it didn't have the best launch, and so you're given that one shot. But I think we're going to do some cool stuff with the partnerships, as you probably saw on the article. It is the official ball of Major League Pickleball still. It's going to be the official ball of Duper, some minor league, collegiate. So there's some really cool stuff that we feel we can do on the amateur side, while also still continuing to be the official ball of the Pickler, which we see as one of the largest distributors out there, right? And so we see a great opportunity there. And so Stack it did acquire it, and I think we have some amazing experts on brand e-commerce that can really make Vulcan a competitor in the pickleball good space again.
Mhm. So I mean, you mentioned that like Vulcan hasn't necessarily been an innovator in the paddles game so far. Are you going to look to revitalize that, focus on the ball and the athleisure, or what is the first the plan for
Yeah,
George as the new owner of Vulcan?
yeah. I mean, I think when we launched the new Vulcan website, and it's you go to vulcanpickleball.com and you only see the ball, I think it's going to be weird for people to see that. But that is right now our focus, right? There's so many paddle companies that are currently in the space. Some are innovators, some are copycats, whether it's good or bad. Um, that is to be determined yet. But I think for us, it's like when we come to the market, I think we have to do it in a very smart way to show people that we're going to be innovators, right? And that's going to happen from products maybe that we launched before the paddle, and what that looks like. But I think it's a great opportunity for us to reestablish what this brand is going to be moving forward. And so, but I think that the first thing is it is going to be super weird to get on to the website and only see the ball at the very beginning, and we're going to ask people to be a little patient with us because we don't want to rush innovation when it comes to what new products, um, that I can't really talk about right now that I'm excited about for for this brand.
Oh man, there's nothing worse than somebody that comes on the podcast and says I can't talk about something or another. Unbelievable. Well, that's all the time that we have for you. No, just kidding. But interesting. We'll definitely keep an eye out. And yeah, the only other thing that I wanted to chat about was we partnered up to do a 5.0 plus clinic,
Yeah.
a very unique one in Austin, Texas, which I'm super excited about because 5.0 plus group has never really been taught or even sort of marketed to. Now it's difficult, right? Because it's the smallest cohort of players. Apparently something like less than 1% of players are 5.0 plus. But Matt Pennegasser actually mentioned that 6% apparently of Pickler members are 5.0 plus. Why do you think that is?
Well, I think there's it's very rare to see a company that actually has a VP of pickleball like Matt
Mm-hmm.
Pennegasser, right?
Mm-hmm.
For us, it's always been important to develop players. Part of our core at the Pickler, there's the connect, dink, and compete pillars that we strive to live by. The competition side, I mean, pickleball is one of the few sports that people are actually willing to dedicate the time to get better, right? I grew up playing sports. It might not look like it, but I don't go in my backyard and practice my 40 or my tackling drills or even my 3 points, but for some reason people are willing to invest on getting better, and I think that happens consistently at the Pickler to have a dedicated place, and I think our membership allows that to happen, right? Where you're able to reserve courts, you're able to participate in clinics, and to your point, I mean, to have someone like yourself be able to do a clinics for 5.0s, I mean I think everyone should be excited about that because there are that group of 5.0s that kind of get to that point. It's like, but what's next? And I think I hate to say this, but I'm going to say it. You are very well respected when you get on the camera and you discuss pickleball strategy, how to do X shot or being an innovator when it comes to serves that eventually gets, that gets banned from the sport. But like people pay attention, right? And I think for us, it was important as we launch what we call P4. It's a certification process at the Pickler on how to get players better at pickleball. That's our focus. You're the first person that came to mind of like, who can we partner with? And again, it hurts to say that, but you were the first person that came to mind because I feel like when you get in front of that camera, people pay attention, and people should be paying attention to these clinics because uh, y- you know uh, I will say this out loud: Austin pickleball is my favorite pickleball scene in the world, and I
Let's
think for
go,
you to be
baby.
able
Let's go.
to have that training available to especially so many high level players, that I think it's gonna be massive to understand what needs to happen, next steps on their pickleball path.
Yeah, for sure. Well, we should clarify because the marketing around this is slightly different, and we both screwed it up. Mostly me because I introduced it as a clinic. It's not a camp, not a clinic. It is an intense training session,
An intense training
6 hour
session.
intense high performance training session. So you have to have a 5.0 plus Duper rating to even be allowed to sign up. We're gonna be working
Do you know
on
anybody at Duper that can bump up
that can fudge
bump up
some
my
numbers
rating?
for you.
Yeah.
If I
Switch the
did, I'd fudge
3.5 to
my
a
own
5.3.
duper numbers. If I did, I would be bumping my own numbers up. Yeah. So George, you are not even though you own the thing, you are not allowed to attend.
Yeah,
Um,
I get it.
but I'm like I enjoy teaching the 5.0 plus level the most, and those are the people that are least likely to actually probably engage in any sort of coaching because there's such a limited amount of people that can coach a
Yeah,
5.0 plus session.
that's a great point.
So I'm unbelievably excited to do this one in Austin. It's the last week of June, and we actually have one coming up at Picklr HQ in Kaysville the first week of August, following MLP as well. So really, really excited for both of those. Honestly, because I think I'm going to have a lot of fun teaching them.
Yeah.
So
I'm gonna have a
anyway, I
lot of fun
think
watching you teach.
yeah,
So
you can watch. That's actually
yeah,
pretty
yeah.
good for you. I feel like you can. There's nothing against 3-5 players watching. So
Watch. Yeah, absolutely.
perfect. So stoked for those and excited for everything Picklr. You want to give us any hints on what the next market is you guys are going to go to, or are you just going to, leave that one too?
Let
Come on, some breadcrumbs. Some
some
breadcrumbs.
breadcrumbs. I mean, there's a lot of koalas there.
The San Diego Zoo. Let's go.
Yeah, there you go. And hopefully that's announced sooner than later. But again, I think there's been so much concentration on domestically. We have to get clubs open, right? There's nothing more important than that. We have 44 clubs open. We'll have 80 by the end of the year, but there will be a balance eventually, which is like, how do we get this game international, and how do we create the infrastructure? And I think we can lead that space as well. And so I think I mean, Zane, we talked about that. I think originally the conversation started because you saw opportunities with us on the international side and how you can help us develop and grow the sport internationally. And I think you see it too. I think you see the opportunities at hand just at hand just to grow the sport internationally. And I think there's going to be some cool places that we announce this year and in the years to come.
Yeah. Well, excited for it. When you do cool stuff, we'll get you back on the pod again, George, but I
Sweet.
appreciate it. Thanks for coming on, chatting about the Picklr Japan and the Vulcan acquisition. That's pretty cool stuff in Pickle. So appreciate it, man.
Thanks, Zane. Thanks for having me on.
All right, so as I mentioned with George, we've got this really cool training session coming up in Austin. You can sign up for this through the Picklr app or Play by Point, or by contacting the Austin Picklr West. I am really, really excited about this. I don't know whether it's how many people it's going to attract or not, because it's something completely unique and new, but we're doing 6 hours of really high level instruction stuff, and I'm super pumped for it. You also get entry into a winner take all, or a first, second, and third place payout Moneyball tournament the following day. You're going to get gifts from me, as well as the opportunity to come train with me and my group if you win that Moneyball event as well. So I'm really, really excited for this. We've got that one happening at the end of June in Austin. And we've got another one at the Picklr in Kaysville, Utah, right after MLP at the beginning of August. So really, really excited for that. Go check those out if you don't mind. And then we will get into some other of the random pickleball happenings of the week. We had Leigh Waters on a billboard in Times Square, which I don't know what we expected, but that's pretty sick, because that's reserved for, your Michael Jordan, LeBron James, Serena Williams, Roger Federer type of deal. And now we've got Leigh Waters, and that's pretty sweet. I made friends with a bunch of middle schoolers going into high school from the Lampasas High School DC trip. I was coming back from a clinic in New Jersey, and I'm sitting there, I'm writing my script, and these kids are doing what they do. They're having fun. There are a bunch of them coming back from their DC trip. They start talking. One of them asks me if I want to see the dance moves. And when a middle school going into high school boy asks you if you want to see their dance moves, the only answer to that one is yes, 100% of the time. He showed me the dance moves, and quite honestly, the dance moves weren't very good. Not because they weren't good, but because he didn't put the effort into it. And so I let him know. He said, "What are my dance moves on a scale of 1 to 10?" I gave him a 3 or a 4 or something, and then the rest of the whole group, they loved me immediately. They were asking like what I'm doing, because I roasted their buddy. I told them I'm writing a script for a YouTube video, and they're like, "Oh, you're a YouTuber, blah blah blah. Let's look him up. Look him up." They look me up. They find out that I'm a pickleball player, and they loved it. I took a bunch of pickleball, or I took a bunch of pictures with the Lampasas High School squad, And that was a cool thing to do on a Sunday night at the Newark airport. So big shout out to the Lampasas High School DC trip. That was fun, guys. In other news, I thought it was funny. Frank Anthony Davis scored a big paycheck from the U.S. Open. He's played the U.S. Open 9 years in a row, and in his 9th year, he cashed out with $300. They sent him the check. He took 5th place, and he netted, after his $275 entry fees, netted $25. So that was something. Only other things that we have are some Q&A stuff. So we'll get into the Q&A. Thanks to everybody who submitted their questions via Twitter and my Instagram account. Let's see if we got any good ones this week. All right, Nico the Lefty always has some good stuff. He said, if they had MLP mic'd up in pickleball, who would you want mic'd up? Somebody replied to that and said, Julian Arnold. There's no reason to actually mic up Julian Arnold. He just yells everything. You don't even need to mic that guy up. He's basically mic'd up as soon as he's on the court. But a couple other responses were J-Dub. Person that, this is a sneaky one, but Althoff Merchant needs to be mic'd up 24/7. The one-liners that he comes up with are hilarious. Playing with Jeff Warnick, he was really funny too. Another one of those where you really don't need to actually mic him up. He's just loud enough. Kate Fahey would be interesting to hear what she's saying to one another. You definitely need like a mute button in case for when she screams at the end of points. You need to put that on mute. But yeah, I think that those would be a couple of good ones. Like, I'd love to know what Kate Fahey is saying to herself to pump herself up between points, because there's nobody as intense as Kate, or not too many people who are intense as Kate. Ryan asks, would Dream Breakers be better if instead of singles you did doubles rally scoring, switching up the mixed pairings? No, I don't like that. Dream Breakers are electric. We like the singles. We like to see people who don't play singles play singles. Christian Bernardo asked, are the UPA contracts incentive based? I think everybody's kind of got different contracts. Some of them are. A lot of them are basically just sort of salary based. But, it sounds like there's also a renegotiation process where we're going to be shifting more towards incentive based and winning based, which is kind of how the actual tour side of things should be. Tour should be eat what you kill. The league or Major League Pickleball should be salary based, in my opinion. Maddie Pickles asks, do I watch much MLP when it's your off week? If so, what are your thoughts from a fan perspective, broadcast, production, format, etc.? It depends. It depends if I've got other life stuff going on. I watched a decent amount of MLP Phoenix this week. I certainly stay up to date, obviously, with everything that's going on, but I don't watch I'm not glued to the screen the entire weekend for MLP regular season stuff, just because when I'm, not playing a tournament, when I'm not playing one of my 26 tournaments, I kind of like to just have my own thing, go do some other stuff. My thoughts, though, my main thoughts are, I really like the low angles and the moving cameras. Like, the more you can show the low angle in pickleball, the low angle from the side, I think the better you can actually see the pace of play there. I think the high angle behind the court should only be used for the first 3 shots or when players are on defense, because you just can't get a sense of the speed of the dink rallies. I like the 45-degree angle at the kitchen line sort of cam. Pickleball Universe asks, this question was recently posed on Twitter. Could an all-star MLP team from the bottom 8 beat any of the top 8 teams? And there's some interesting lineup combinations, but the most obvious lineup combos would be a Ben Johns and Tyson in men's, and then a Millie Rain or Jesse Irvine, Viv David, Glausman as the mixed team. I think that that team would be a 5 through. I think that team would probably be the 5th or 6th best team. That's a good team. I don't think they beat the Flash, the Shock, or the Fives. I think that they are in the ballpark with Ranchers and Brooklyn if that MLP All-Star team happened. The Dink Pickleball asked, what's Jack Sock's ceiling if he trained for pickle like he did tennis? I still think Jack Sock could be the best pickleball player, but he has proven that he cannot just come in and dominate unless he really does train at it the way that he did in tennis. And so the question has not been whether some of these players can or can't do it, it's whether they want to do it. I think Nico, the doughboy lefty, again said, he gave a reminder, Jack Sock is exactly as good as he wants to be at pickleball. I think that's probably true. I don't know what he does in his off time or his training, but I have to imagine if he trained the way that he did intensely in tennis to get to the top 10 player in the world, I think he would be very difficult to beat in doubles. He's got great hands, explosive, like he's got everything that you want. Frank, the CEO of Pickleball, asks Jack Sock, is he top 20 or top 200? Greg Dow was 100% correct in that assessment. He's streaky. Like, he's top 20 sometimes. Like, Showtime Sock on Saturday night at MLP Phoenix was top 20. He can go on to spurts and miss lots of balls and be, I think, top 200. I don't know. That's probably a little bit too much, but he can go through spurts where he's 100th best player. So can I, of course, right? But he has more of those ups and downs than most, I think. Moving over to the gram. All right, Maddox Pickleball on Instagram asks, do you prefer this regular season format or the old 6 events a year format? What I would love is if every event was a round robin. There are 5 or 6 teams per event. The first 3 days are your round robin that count towards your regular season. On the last night, you take the top 2 teams in the standings and you have them play a bonus final. That way there's a winner of every event, and that bonus can count for bonus standings points, kind of like the mid-season tournament. So I do miss having more sort of winners. I also think that would make the MLP regular season a little bit more exciting, probably. When are you going to have Lauren Stratman's kitties on the pod? We have a strict no cat policy, with the exception of Jim Kloss's cat, which snuck in on technicalities. Brooks Jones asked, since I medaled in a challenger, will you finally put some respect on my name? No. Kay Eads asks, how do we transfer our weight for different kinds of shots? You subscribe to my YouTube channel where we got lots of great tips and tricks there. That's not a question for the pod. That's a question for the YouTube channel. Go check out the YouTube channel. I'm putting out so much free content on the YouTube channel. Don't ask me here. Go watch the free stuff that I put out there, man. Carson Clay Calhoun, the legend, asks, why don't more pros serve out wide when a team is trying to unwind the stack? The out wide serve is actually kind of hard. It's not super easy to do. You're seeing it more. A lot of the women are doing a good job of pulling guys out wide, particularly Rachel Rohrabacher and Leigh Waters on the unwind. I think we should see more slice out wide serves in the ad side too. It's just not a super easy serve to hit, to be honest. Norm and Kim asks, ready position, 1 hand in front or 2 hands on the paddle. That's personal preference, but I do think that in your ready position, regardless of whether you have a 1E or a 2E, I think that your other non-dominant hand should be near your paddle. That way you can actually turn and coil the upper body. When we have our left hand inactive, you tend to overswing on both sides there, in my opinion. The top courts, Lean Takhan, I don't know, Lean something says the top courts. I'm going to interpret that as the top pickleball courts. I love Pickle and Social in Atlanta. I love the Lab here in Austin where I get to play. The Pickle Ranch was awesome last week for Major League Pickleball. There's a bunch of them. There's a bunch of beautiful, great facilities to play at. Somebody asked me a question in Spanish. George Yazid asks, si no tuvieres tu propia paddle, ¿qué paddle del mercado usarías? ¿Qué te gusta power spin? I kind of put those last 2 into a Spanish accent. Don't cancel me. I'm going to interpret that as you should check out the Zane Navratil Pro XR paddles. They are great. They're top of the line. We've got one right there. Amazing combination of power and spin. I'm fairly certain I didn't answer your question. YYCK KC asks, how long do you think YOLO can get away with charging these insane prices for paddles? It's the market is what somebody will pay for it. So as long as people are willing to pay for it, I think people are they're going to keep charging it. Like, why wouldn't they? Realistically, how long before there's parity in MLP from top to bottom? From Hood Kenji, I think there will never be. In every sport, there's not necessarily parity from top to bottom. Now, I do think we have somewhat unprecedented lack of parity where, even in something like baseball, the bottom teams will beat the top teams sometimes. In the NBA, the bottom teams will beat the top teams sometimes. Right now, we have the bottom teams never beating the top teams, but I do think things will get closer. I think that we need a NBA type of league minimum spend as well, and I think that would certainly help. Jacob Noriega PB asks, should I try all paddle brands or stick to one I've been using that works for me? Gearbox. If it works for you, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I mean, it's good to experiment, but you don't have to change if it's working. Alance8 asks, when do you foresee to be back in the top 10 of singles? I don't foresee being back in the top 10 in singles, quite honestly. I think the game is, there's better athletes than me in the top 10 of singles, and there's only going to be better athletes there. I kind of stopped playing singles a little bit because of I had a little bit of Achilles and plantar fasciitis stuff, but there's a lot better players than me. I'm not a top 10 singles player. Like, I can make some good runs every now and then, and I enjoy playing every now and then in singles, but I'd have to play every singles event. I'd have to focus more on the training of singles. I'm having more fun with doubles at this point, so I don't foresee being back in the top 10 in singles, but I appreciate your confidence in me. T Bowie 66 says, you're always so positive. Love it. What makes Zane mad, if anything? Thanks. I get a lot of crap for complaining. I don't know, but like, look, we're playing pickleball. It's fun. I can't say that I'm positive all the time, and I do say it, like, when I complain, I don't consider it complaining if you're offering constructive ways to improve, and that's what I do try to do. So, what makes Zane mad? This is a random take, but I hate it when people ask me things in real life that they could easily find out on their own. Like, hey, what time is the Austin FC game next week? I don't know. Google it. Like, why are you asking me? Google it yourself. You can figure that out yourself. So that's a random pet peeve. Probably didn't answer your question at all, but that one pisses me off. Zach Alante says, just starting my first accounting job today. Any tips for managing PB and accounting? Yeah, you got to be very efficient with your time. Accounting, you're going to work long hours like I did at Deloitte. I was drilling from 5:30 to 7 a.m. every morning, and just being really, really efficient with the time. Blake PB says, let's go. Not a question. And then the last one, the Healthy Pickler asks, will we ever see more pros wearing protective eyewear? Why or why not? I think we will not see too many more pros wearing protective eyewear. It's kind of a sissy thing to do, is what people feel like. That's obviously not correct, but it's not going to happen at wide scale until the leagues mandate it. I'd say, I don't know the full history, but I would guess it's pretty similar to baseball players wearing helmets or football players wearing helmets. Like, I think until it's mandated, like, people are going to say, like, oh no, I'm too tough for that. Even though I think it's foolish not to. I'm in that category too. Like, I know I probably should, but I don't. So is what it is. But appreciate you guys asking all these questions. We got to a good chunk of them. Submit your questions next week again. If I didn't get to them, we either didn't have time or they just weren't a good question. So ask a better question next time. Wow, I'm kind of an asshole.
Yeah.